all set, Joel? All right, let me call tonight's meeting together. It's a Town of Queensberry Town Board meeting. It is May 4th, 2020, and the time is 7:03 p.m. So, first of all, would you all please rise and join Councilman Anthony Medevere in saying the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. So, and Chris, you're all right going after the hearings on the three squads, and then I'll put you up? Okay.
Yep, thank you.
All right. So we have 3 public hearings tonight. And we also have a call-in. If you're not present tonight, and there are a couple people present tonight, but if you'd like to call in, we do have a number, and it's showing on the screen, right, Peter? Area code 518-761-8225. So, let me find mine here. Oh, that's the April 6th meeting.
Yeah, no, you can get on today's. There's 9 people watching right now.
All right, should be 10 as soon as I connect, right?
Says
Go up-
10.
Go up to the top and click on, hey,
Okay,
Dan, you got it?
yeah. Let me mute mine so it doesn't feed back through everything.
11.
Okay. All right, so the first public hearing, Caroline, would you please tell the public about our first public hearing?
This is a public hearing to consider the 2020 Emergency Ambulance Services Agreement between the Town of Queensberry and Bay Ridge Rescue Squad, Inc.
Okay. In the middle of the COVID crisis, we were under the 2019 contract with our 3 EMS squads. We have Bay Ridge Rescue, we have North Queensberry Rescue, we have West Glens Falls Rescue, 3 EMS squads. They are large part organized and run by volunteers. Volunteers that spend a whole lot of time providing the service for the folks here in the town of Queensberry. A lot of training, a lot of dedication. That's why in most cases, if not all cases, these squads represent a second family to these people. And it's good. The social activities, the camaraderie, the training together, the teaching one another is all fantastic for the residents of the town of Queensberry. We're very lucky to have a system with 3 great squads. Now, they did not get a raise this year, and one of the reasons why we didn't renew the contract is we're having a study done. As good as our EMS squads are, there's always room to become better. There's always room for efficiencies. So we have an outside independent source evaluating our 3 EMS services to see if there's efficiencies to be got. In the meantime, they're calling me and say, John, last year's budget with paid staff and so forth, it's really tough this year. So I said, all right, how about this? We'll give you a 2020 contract, as we probably should have, but we didn't know it would take this long for the study to get done. 2%. They said, well, we could use more. I said, 2%. They said, John, we'll learn to live with it. So, the first one is for the Bay Ridge Rescue. Bay Ridge was getting, in their 2019 contract, $511,947. So 2% of that, it's $10,239. The 2020 contract would be 2% more, $522,186. So this is a public hearing on the Bay Ridge contract. We're gonna have 2 other public hearings on the other 2 squads here in a minute. So if there's any thoughts to be shared on behalf of the town board before I open the public hearing?
No.
No.
All right, I'll open the public hearing. So, if you wish to call in, the numbers showing on the screen, 761-8225. There is a few second delay, so we're gonna be very patient to see if anybody has a call in. Phone's working. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak to Bay Ridge's proposed 2020 contract? Okay. 761-8225. I know when I'm looking back at me, how late the delay is. All right. All right, no call-ins. It's 761-8225. Public hearing on the Bay Ridge EMS, Bay Ridge Squad, 2020 contract, 2% increase.
That's about a minute. I set my timer for 3.
No, about a minute delay?
No, about a minute. It's gone by. Waiting.
Oh, okay. All right. So are you telling me it's time to close the public hearing?
I didn't know what time you thought was.
Well, it's the first one.
Mhm.
Those of you that want to speak to West Glens Falls' contract or North Queensberry's contract, be at the ready. We'll give Bay Ridge people a little bit of time. But the rest of you, will those 2 public hearings will follow this one. All right, I'll close the public hearing. Any further thoughts on behalf of the town board before we go to a vote?
No.
Motion to approve the 2020 Emergency Ambulance Services Agreement between the town of Queensberry and Bay Ridge Rescue Squad Incorporated. Motion made by Councilperson Medevere, seconded by Councilperson Freer. Roll call vote on this, please, Caroline.
Councilpersons Medevere?
Yes.
Freer?
Yes.
Excuse me, Ferone?
Yes.
And Stroud.
Yes. Next, if you'll read that to the public, please, Caroline.
This is a public hearing to consider the 2020 Emergency Ambulance Service Agreement between the town of Queensberry and North Queensberry Rescue Squad, Inc.
All right, we're gonna have a public hearing in a minute. I'll open in a minute, so ready, it's 761-8225. This is, again, all the EMSs got treated equally. So North Queensberry's 2019 contract was $334,599. 2% increase, that's the same as $6,692, for a total of $341,491. Any thoughts on behalf of the town board before I open the public hearing? All right, I'll open the public hearing. Anybody that has any comments from the audience? Having none, any comments from call-ins? Area code 518-761-8225. And the number is up on YouTube. And we did make every effort we could to make sure that everybody knew that tonight's meeting was going to be on YouTube. It's on the website, emails, media, postings in the town hall, on the windows. I know it's getting limited getting in. All right, again, we're having a public hearing on the proposed contract for North Queensberry Rescue Squad for a 2020 contract, a total of $341,291. If you would like to participate in this public hearing, have any thoughts you'd like to share with the town board, please call 761-8225.
I'm gonna give it about 2 minutes at the same time with the first public
Okay.
hearing.
Wait, 1, 2,
Here it goes.
9, 9-second delay.
Is yours different, George?
Yeah, I got it a little faster.
Oh, you did? You're saying I bought a cheap computer?
Didn't say that.
All right, anybody from the audience? No? All right.
That's 2 minutes.
2 minutes we've given them? It only takes 9 seconds for a call-in. Anybody watching this, there should have been enough time to call in.
Yep.
All right, let me close the public hearing on the resolution approving year 2020 emergency ambulance services agreement between the town of Queensberry and North Queensberry Rescue Squad. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll introduce it.
Motion made by Councilperson Medevere, seconded by Councilperson Ferone. Roll call vote on this, please, Caroline.
Was that Councilpersons Brown or Freer that seconded? I'm sorry.
We both raised our hands at the same time.
Okay. All right. Okay. Councilpersons Freer,
Yes.
Barone,
Yes.
Stroud,
Yes.
and Medevere.
Yes.
All right. Contract passes for North Queensberry EMS. Our next and final public hearing, please, Caroline.
This is a public hearing to consider the 2020 Emergency Squad Ambulance Services Agreement between the town of Queensberry and Westlands Falls Emergency Squad.
All right, West Glens Falls is our busiest of the 3 squads. And they had a 2019 contract of $920,844. 2% of that is $18,417, giving them a total of $939,261 for the 2020 contract. Any thoughts on behalf of the town board about the West Glens Falls Emergency Squad contract proposed tonight?
No.
Anybody out in the audience? All right, anybody out there watching YouTube, 761-8225, have any thoughts that you wish to share with the town board on the proposed West Glens Falls Emergency Squad contract for 2020? A total of $939,261. You freeze? Yours working, George?
Oh, yeah.
I'm frozen.
Oh, you're frozen?
Harrison, you working?
Appears so. I show 13 people watching now.
Am I moving, Peter? Hmm. No, mine's frozen up.
You're in the middle of the.
Yeah, I get on and it's frozen, it's not live.
Oh, well. Everyone else is working. Must be the cheap computer. All right. I'll close the public hearing on the West Glens Falls Emergency Squad proposed contract for the year 2020 for emergency ambulance services. Is there anyone that wishes to put a motion forward to agree to this contract?
I'll move it.
Moved by Councilperson Ferone,
I'll second.
seconded by Councilperson Freer. Roll call vote on the West Glens Falls Emergency Ambulance Services Agreement?
Councilpersons Ferone,
Yes.
Stroud,
Yes.
Medivir,
Yes.
and Freer.
Yes.
All right, passes. Those are our public hearings for the evening. Next, our Superintendent of Water and Director of Wastewater would like to make a public comment, share some thoughts, tell you what's forthcoming, and Superintendent Harrington, if you'll come forward, please. And the microphone and the table have not been used by other people, but when you leave, would you please cleanse any of the materials in your area that you had contact with? All right, you don't have to do it now.
No, get ready.
Okay, you're getting it ready. All right, thank you.
All right, John, thanks for having me tonight. I spoke to you a few times a couple weeks ago about letting people know that our flushing season's coming up. And normally what we do is we put an ad in the paper and we normally let it take care of itself. Of course, this year things are different. People are home. We even see that people getting up later. We could tell that by the draw on our water system. So I was a little concerned this year because I want to make sure that people know with everything that's going on that water's fine. But the next couple of weeks, it could at times get a little murky, okay? So we're going to start flushing, opening up hydrants May 11th. And we actually do a pre-flush starting Wednesday night where we start ramping up the production of the plant to start loosening up some of the stuff that builds up on the side of the pipe. Okay, so this is preventive maintenance. This allows us to keep our pipes clean, get the sediment out, maintain a good chlorine residual. It's just good overall maintenance. So we're going to start that Wednesday night, okay, at the plant. Thursday night, Friday night, we're going to keep ramping it up again to do this pre-flush. We've been doing this about 8 years, and it seems like it's let the phone calls, it's not as bad as when we actually start flushing. And then on May 11th, we were going to start flushing about 8 o'clock in the morning. So again, I'm asking if people do see a little murky water, understand that it's probably from our flushing activities. We start right near the plant. For the first week, we work from the City of Glens Falls line to West Mountain Road, north of Sherman Avenue. So that should take about 1 week. Then we move up north of Aviation Road to $1 Million Mile Courthouse Estates. That's another week. And then we kind of drop back to the areas between Aviation and Sherman Avenue. Okay, so that's the third week. And then on the fourth week, we go on the other side of the Northway, and we flush there. So it should take about 4 weeks. We will have a notification tomorrow starting on our website. We'll put a banner up stating we're going to start flushing May 11th. And we are also going to have a map, and that's something else we've never done before. Again, so this is extra outreach we're doing to make sure that people, you know, with the heightened sense of nervousness with the COVID-19, we want to ensure that your water supply is fine. I mean, it's just the annual flushing. Also, one more thing that we'll be doing that we haven't done before is we're putting up signs by subdivisions So people will be seeing these signs. We have about 10 of them, so that people know that we're flushing that area. Again, that's something that we haven't done before. Okay, so we just want to be a little more proactive this year. I reached out to other water superintendents, down in Austin, down at Clifton Park Water Authority. I talked to Jesse Fish over in Moreau, and I've asked them, have the phones been ringing off the hook? And thankfully, they said it really hasn't. So I don't anticipate, chaos in the system. But again, I just want to be more proactive this year. That's really the summary of what we're going to be doing next 4 weeks. So.
Well, Chris, what should people do if they see turbulence in the water? Just
Yeah, what you should do is you should flush your lines. Go up to your bathtub and just open it up for 10, 15 minutes, and that should clear the line, okay? And if it takes longer, if you get a little concerned, you can give us a call. But usually, opening up a line full bore should clear out your service line. We also ask, as part of maintenance, is a good time, too, to flush your water tank, okay? Because sediment does build up in there, and really, if you look at O&M manuals for water tanks, you should flush them twice a year. I don't know who that does that, but it's another one of those things. If we come through, because it gets into the water tank, and that's a good time to flush your tank out. So it's a signal to flush your tank out. So those are two things we ask. Open up your bathroom sink or your bathtub, let it run pretty good for about 10, 15 minutes, and then go downstairs and flush out your hot water tank. So those are two simple things that you can do.
This is going to sound like a silly question, but can you explain why you flush?
We flush. What happens is we put a pH adjuster in our water. It's called sodium carbonate. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to coat the pipes. We actually coat the water service lines and the main line. Okay, what happens is this builds up on the side of the pipes. Okay, if we didn't flush in the beginning of the summer season, you would have chaos in the system where you get dirty water all summer long. Okay, we used to have a lot of old unlined cast iron pipe in our system. We've done a really good job getting rid of all that, so it's not as bad as it was back when they started back in maybe, I think, the 1990s. So that was a response to that, so the summertime wouldn't be a real mess as far as discolored water. And it's just good, it's best management practice, okay? You're scouring the side of the pipe, you're taking off the sediment that builds up, and also what happens if you don't do a good flushing program, you get a film that builds up in the side of the pipe. It's like a biofilm. It gets kind of slimy. And really what you don't want that to form, because what happens is the bacteria that may be in the water, we don't produce distilled water. There may be some bacteria in there. And what happens is it kind of gets into the film, and then you can cause you problems down the road. So by doing this unidirectional flush, high velocity flush, you keep your pipes clean. And then what also, if your pipes are clean, it also allows us not to add more chlorine, because the pipes kind of put a demand on chlorine. So the less chlorine we add, the less disinfection byproduct, the less chlorine people taste in the water. It's just an overall good best management practice that any utility worth its salt, will do. We do it, a lot of communities just open up their hydrants. You see people open up hydrants, oh yeah, they're flushing. It's not really the right way to do it. We do it the right way. We open up the steamer and we get a good cleansing of the system. And so it's another thing that I think we do probably better than most other communities. Again, we're newer, so our valves work. We go out and we check our valves. That's another thing we do, is it's also to make sure your valves work, so that when we have a water main break, we don't open up a valve box and then we go down and it's all full of dirt. And then you're spending another extra half hour trying to get down to the valve box to shut off a water main. So there's a lot of good things that come out of not just the flushing for the mains, but just the system operations thing, to be aware of it. So those pretty much are the reasons that
I was
you
just
flush.
going to ask, have you ever found a hydrant that is broken during?
Well, Harrison was asking about this about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Our hydrants don't look that great. I admit it's a sore spot we have. We're trying to get better at it. But as I told Harrison in the email, is that every single one of our hydrants, there are 1,100 hydrants, they go through a thorough check every single year. Okay, so we are really preventative in making sure those hydrants work. I will say, I don't think there's another community out there that takes care of fire hydrants like the town of Queensberry takes care of fire hydrants. So we have one person dedicated to it. Actually, it's a volunteer fireman who goes out and checks each hydrant, 1,100 plus Warren County's hydrants we'll check the school districts, and we check maybe one other entity, public entity. So, yeah, we do find some issues, but not that I know of. As long as I've been here since 2004, I can honestly say I can't remember if a volunteer fire company's ever come up to a hydrant where it didn't work. Okay, and we've gotten a lot better working with the volunteer firemen to make sure that when they use a hydrant, let us know, because then what we do is we go out and we inspect it. And it's particularly important in the wintertime because we want them to freeze when they come back. So we're very proactive, working on hydrant. Again, they don't look, we're working to get them look better, but, we all know things can look great and they don't work worth a, beeswax. But ours work fairly well.
So I have one more question, Chris, it's probably unfair, I should have told you, asked before, but what should the people who don't have town, is there preventative maintenance you recommend for people who have wells? Similar, should they be doing preventative maintenance, and what is it?
Well, usually I don't like to get into areas that's not my purvey. I'm sure if you go to the DOH website, the New York State DOH, they have a whole section on what you should do for a private well.
Okay.
So usually, yeah, we try to stay away from when people quite often call us, we're like, call New York State DOH or visit their website, and they'll have a law on what they should do for a private well.
Good passing the buck.
You get good at being a bureaucrat passing the buck.
Any other questions? Well, and Superintendent Harrington, you are very good at your job, and so we're very appreciative that you're here with us. And of course, it's the quality of life in the town of Queensberry that keeps you here, I hope.
No, but I appreciate the board. So it's always nice working with a good board. That's what I said. It's got to be a synergetic thing. You can have a good superintendent and a bad board, or a good board and a not so hot superintendent. So again, I appreciate you guys always
Yeah,
being
we're working
supportive.
pretty well. We're pretty lucky right now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, and one more thing, I just want to remind people, rags, we've been doing pretty good with the wipes, so we haven't had any issues. We've been staying on top, so I haven't heard anything from my guys out in the field. So again, I want to thank everybody. If it's something they're thinking about, we haven't had many issues with that. So again, thank you.
No flushing the wipes. All right.
Thanks again.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, we have 13 resolutions before us. I'm going to go through and briefly describe each of the resolutions. Caroline's going to introduce the resolution, and then I'll briefly describe them. And then if town board or any member of the public has any thoughts, questions, or concerns about any of the resolutions, we'll deal with them after I get done describing them. And again, if you wish to call in and have a question or share a thought about any of the particular resolutions, you may do so. Number is 761-8225. Okay? So, and if you have any other questions that aren't related to the resolutions, but they're town related, I will give you an opportunity to do that at the end of the meeting. All right, so this segment is for the 13 resolutions before us tonight. 3.1, please, Caroline.
Resolution authorizing County of Warren local tourism promotion and convention development agreement for 2020 with Queensberry.
All right, we get two payments for occupancy tax from the county. This is the first of the year. It usually is around the $55,000. This is a resolution accepting the $55,000 from the county. The other check that we will receive will be, and I don't know this for sure, but it usually is in the area of $150,000, $160,000. And this is based on last year. Next year might be a different story after this COVID pandemic crisis that we're in. It will no doubt hurt revenues. It will probably no doubt hurt occupancy tax revenues. We divvy them out based on what the town board, along with input from other people in the community, what we think is the most worthwhile costs. And so we'll divide up the monies that we have for that year, saving some money for the next year. If that money stirs up the economy, if it helps the local economy somehow, some way, and the Warren County has some about 3 or 4 pages of recommendations, we always follow those guidelines. All right, so this resolution, however, is to accept this first payment from the county of $55,000. 3.2, please, Caroline.
Resolution authorizing engagement of Invasive Solutions Dive Company LLC for diver-assisted suction harvesting in connection with Glen Lake Aquatic Vegetation Management Program.
All right. They have their own benefit tax district. This is their payment. We have to approve all monies allocated from this district. They have asked for $30,420 for 4 weeks of mechanical hand picking of invasive species and nuisance plants. So, hand harvesting. So their management effort is a combination of chemical applications as guided by the DEC, as well as hand harvesting as guided by the DEC. In the meantime, we're going to be working on a comprehensive environmental lake management program that will have ultimate goals and everything else. I have kayaked Glen Lake for the last 2 weekends. The lake is in beautiful shape, so I think the committee that is managing Glen Lake is doing a very good job at that. So this is to approve $30,420 for hand harvesting of invasive species and nuisance plants. 3.3,
Resolution authorizing agreement between Town of Queensberry and Economic Development Corporation, Warren County.
all right, this is for about $114,000. It's been $114,000 ever since we got rid of our own economic development agency, which was costing, I think, between $150,000 and $200,000. We decided to blend into EDC and get more bang for the buck. We're lucky to have Ed Bartholomew. Nobody knows the economic situation as good as Ed in this area, in the Warren County. So this is for the Warren County EDC. And Ed describes in his report to the town board what he does. First of all, the very understanding of what Queensberry is, business-wise, economically speaking, and its needs. So he says we are one of the centers, if not the center, of the North Country in terms of retail business. We do have some diversification. We have a strong medical device manufacturing, healthcare, information technology, and other businesses. We have several sites that are shovel-ready, and we're marketing those. We have great schools in the region, including SUNY Adirondack. We have some of primary transportation corridors, such as I-87 and 149, and the Warren County Airport. And then he speaks to the medical device and equipment manufacturing. And a couple interesting things he puts in his report shows that as of September 2019, the county had 1,509 jobs in the medical equipment and supplies industry, resulting in a 17.8 location quotient, or an LQ. That LQ represented the nation's highest concentration of jobs in this industry among more than 500 U.S. counties for which full employment data is disclosed. I thought that was interesting. So 2019 was highlighted by significant news from our medical device cluster. So he talks about the sale of C.R. Bard, which is now BD, Becton Dickinson, a $12 billion revenue medical manufacturing company. Angiodynamics, also located in Queensberry and Glens Falls. They're expanding their manufacturing in Queensberry and their distribution center in Glens Falls. The acquisition of the former Namate subdivision of Angiodynamics by Medline Industries, number 32 on the Forbes list of largest privately held companies, has 18,000 employees in America with 10 billion total annual company sales. He talks about angiodynamics, focusing on new technology and products, including the nano knife. And currently, angiodynamics is an FDA-approved clinical study that is evaluating the effectiveness of IRE technology in the treatment of stage 3 pancreatic cancer. The EDC represents these. They fully advocate to the federal government for grant money and for other things that are involved in that bureaucrat of our federal government. He helps them to get through that. And then President CEO Jim Clemmer, a very nice guy. I introduced him at the EDC breakfast this year. Very strong medical device industry in the town of Queensberry. Also, he talks about the retail, the mall outlets, the restaurants. We generate, in Warren County, $55 million in sales tax revenue. Queensberry probably, he doesn't say this in the report, this is me speaking, probably generates the lion's share of that 55 million. We do receive 8.5 of that million back because the county keeps some for running the government. Now, different counties do different things. I was in Rockland County recently, and that county keeps all its sales tax revenue and shares none of it with its municipalities. Cities can opt out, but towns can't. So if you're a town in Rockland County, you receive no revenue from your sales tax that you might generate, which doesn't make some of those town supervisors very happy. Again, the EDC initiated and helped pay for a study that went from exit 20, 149 down to Sweet Road. One of the purposes of the study is to see what kind of future economic impacts we could potentially have along that corridor. There is a lot of vacant space. If you look at the aerial, you'll see it. If you're going right along Route 9, you may not see it. But there's a lot of development potential along that corridor. And there's also some traffic management issues, as we all know, about the $1 Million Mile, but also with the Round Pond Road, Route 9 intersection. And also it would be nice to realign Weeks Road so it came out opposite Sweet Road. And so those are the other things that came out of that study. He also goes on to talk about other things, recreation, entertainment venues, the sporting world in our area, like with the Dome, West Mountain Ski Center. You have rock climbing, you have trampolining, you have a lot of sports activities in this region. And then they talk about their assistance in business needs, their ability to work with National Grid and NYSERDA and other state agencies. They also have a variety of loan programs that they can get to stimulate new industries. They have worked with the town of Queensberry to do a housing and a housing affordability study. And they're always working with Queensberry to do some land development. And there's going to be a big announcement pretty soon that I can't make. I'll let Ed make it at the appropriate time for the town of Queensberry. Something going to happen off of Corinth Road. All right. The EDC is also coordinating the Upper Hudson River Revitalization Plan, local efficiency state grant, a $800,000 grant to take a look at the municipal sewer needs of our general region and how we can work together, we being the city of Glens Falls, the village of Hudson Falls, the town of Kingsbury, and the town and village of Fort Edward. We're all working together because there are 2 wastewater treatment plants that we could use collectively as we grew. We also need some place in some efficient manner to take care of our biosolids. And it goes on and on and on. Those are the things, like I said, a multitude of things that the EDC does for the town of Queensberry and does for the region. All right, so that's renewing the contract with EDC for $114,000. 3.4,
Resolution authorizing advertisement of bids for a used enclosed box dump truck for Town Highway Department.
all right. We knew we needed this, but the COVID crisis amplified it. What happened with people staying home and people having more free time on their hands and they're doing the remote work from their houses, but they're not tied to the computer, They are working on their yards. And the lawn clippings, the branches, 2020 is going to be the year of the best looking yards. In the meantime, we're having a nightmare collecting it. We're having a nightmare of finding a place to put it. We've hired a guy with a bulldozer. We've talked to Ricky Sears. Between the two of them doing some grinding and some bulldozing, we're gonna make some more space because we just ran out of space. And Superintendent of Highway, Dave Dool, came to me a little bit alarmed. He doesn't usually get alarmed, and he says, we need to do something. We went to the site, we did 2 site visits, we met with some other people, he gave us some proposals on what to do to clean it up. It's currently being cleaned up so we can put more there. But that's kind of emergency crisis. So where does that get me as far as this resolution? They need a truck that will accept chips. So it's gotta be a dump truck type of thing with a box, because you have this chipper and it blows the chips into a box, and it has to be surrounded so the chips don't go over everywhere. And it has to be a dump truck, because when they get to the site, they're gonna dump the chips and then return back to work. All right, we're like one of these. They did put together a makeshift one. They don't need a new one. So they said, all right, we'd take a used one if it was any good. So anything 2009 or newer, enclosed box dump truck, like I described, we'll take offers. If you've got something out there, and this is gonna go out to in a bid format, it's gonna be in the newspaper, it's gonna be regional. We're gonna look for a used, I call it a chipper collector truck. 3.5,
Resolution authorizing agreement between Town of Queensberry and Family YMCA of the Glens Falls area.
all right, every year we give this to the YMCA for their camp, and Queensberry kids who can't afford their camp. Are they gonna have camp? We don't know. It'd be nice, you know, to give the kids something, but again, you don't want them to get COVID-19. So as we open up, if we do open up, and if the YMCA does have a camp, we just want to know that we've set the money aside for them. If they don't have the camp, then they won't need the money. But if they're going to have some other kind of a camp and they're going to need the money, this is a resolution just saying we're setting the money aside for you so that you know you have it if you need it. All right? 3.6.
Resolution authorizing change in comprehensive telecommunications services renewal contract with First Light Fiber.
All right, we're getting a new phone system in. One of the things we have to do is get rid of our own old lines. We have what's called a PRI. That's a primary rate interface. It's older technology. It's not good for the new phone system that we're gonna get, that is gonna do new kinds of things. We need an SIP. That's a session-initiated, I forgot what the P was.
Interface?
No, session-initiated protocol. That's the new system. All right, it's going to cost another $268.30 a month if this town board approves that new system. 3.7.
Resolution setting public hearing on proposed local law to amend Chapter 179 zoning of Queensberry Town Code to revise Section 179.340, establishment of zoning districts, and Section 179.490, parking and loading regulations.
All right, this is the one that we've been talking about for quite a while. There's been several newspaper articles on it. And that is, we want to change the zoning of the enclosed shopping center. There's only one place in the town of Queensberry that has this zone. You know of it as the Aviation Mall, owned by the Pyramid Company, for the most part. There are other owners in there. Target, for example, owns its own store. And National Grid is part owner, and I think Friendly Ice Cream is an owner, but there are several owners. In any event, you know, the malls are kind of dying. They need more energy. They need more vitality And we want to give them some of the things that they need and can experiment with and try and revitalize the energy that's used to be on top of the hill that we call Aviation Mall. It used to be the parking lots were full. All right, times have changed. I know more people are buying things internet, but the malls are changing. The malls are becoming other things. They're becoming more than just stores. They're becoming professional offices. They're becoming cafes with open mic and coffee shops. They're becoming a main street. They are allowing residential development. So there's walkability. You can go and walk to a restaurant, walk to a movie theater, walk to an open mic, and listen in and have a cup of coffee. And then go back to your apartment. So it's like a mini walkable community. All right, well, that will spur some energy, which in turn will spur the rest of us, even if we don't live there, to go and visit things because things are happening there. So we want to try and make things happen. Now, different zoning styles have been suggested to this board. PUD, for example. But for a PUD, which is a fairly structured zone, you have to have a pretty good idea of what you want and how you want to develop in the next 20 or 30 years. That's not the case here. This is more experimental. This is, yeah, and Mark Shatner, you still there? Mark?
I am, sir.
All right, Mark Shatner.
Yeah, I'm here.
Town council, still there. So, PUD just is something we can take a look at. All right, I'm getting feedback. You can,
Yeah, sorry, hang on.
All
Is
right.
the PUD something we can look at? Was that your question?
no, I don't have a question. I'm just seeing if you're still there, but I'm getting feedback from whatever you got on.
Oh, I have the YouTube on, but I walked away, so you shouldn't get it. You're clearer now, right?
Yes, it's fine. All right, okay. In
I'm
any,
here.
okay, thank you. Mark Shatner, Town Council. So we want to re-energize that zone. A PUD is something we can take a look at. And Stu Baker, our senior planner, has put together a PUD formula where we could allow the mall, should it want to go to a PUD, which I highly doubt, but if it wants to, we can go there. But we're not there today. Where we are today is a style of zoning, very unique, but we think it will work. No more than at least 60% of the whole zone has to remain commercial. All right, we're going to allow a lot of new uses. We're going to allow multifamily. We're going to reduce the number of parking spaces needed. 1.25 as opposed to 1.5, so a slight reduction, because right now, obviously, there's too much pavement, too much parking. A lot of it they never use, even at Christmas time. We're going to allow some new uses, and they will have to be site plan review, but of course apartments, and then we're going to conventions, sports center already allowed, food service, of course, already allowed, mineral extraction already allowed, movie theater already allowed. But we put in a lot of things that we think will help vitalize, give them the options to be able to go a lot of places with that. So this is to set a public meeting for this proposed zone. The public meeting will be Monday, May 18th. So that's all this resolution is for tonight. I told you a little bit about the zone and the changes in the zone and what we wanted to do. But the public hearing on this will be at our next town board meeting, Monday 18th, and this resolution is to set that. We have Warren County Planning Agency saying there's no county impact. We have the planning board suggesting we consider a PUD. We have a lot of letters to support from Michelle Straight saying, yes, you should do this zone. Aviation Mall needs it. NIMS Outdoor Services, Jed, yes, this is a very good proposal. You should stick to this. Entertainment One, public comment, zoning amendment for enclosed shopping center. I am writing this letter in support of the rezoning you're proposing. And we have others. Sharon Reynolds. So a lot of support out there in the community for trying to do this. Okay. A lot of paperwork, a lot of work, but it's a good product, I think. 3.8,
Resolution to amend 2020 budget.
all right, well, Chris Harrington went home already, but he needs to shift the money from his fund balance to the treatment center, because he needs a little bit more money to cover Glen Swell's wastewater treatment plant reconstruction costs. 3.9,
Resolution approving audited bills warrant of May 4th, 2020.
bills can't be paid until this board approves them, so this is a payment date of May 5th totaling $449,992.09. 3.10,
Resolution authorizing the issuance of up to $533,000 in serial bonds of the town of Queensberry to pay the cost of emergency replacement of sewer main along Quaker Road, and authorizing the issuance of up to $533,000 in bond anticipation notes of the town of Queensberry for the same purpose.
all right, so we estimate the project to cost about $533,000. It's to replace 1,400 feet of sewer line that we've had multiple breaks in. You may have heard about the one this winter. It was horrendous. What it is, it's pipe that never got wrapped, should have been. It's in acetic soils, and it's iron. And if it's wrapped, it will last decades. This was not wrapped. It's failing left and right. We need to replace it. And the DEC says, you need to replace this. And we are working with the DEC. They're happy with our efforts. But this is for a potential bond. We do have a nice fund balance, but we're worried about revenues. Revenues are down. The Great Escape is not open. The wastewater, people pay for the wastewater by the amount they produce. It's way down. So the revenues are gonna be down. So Superintendent Harrington is thinking he may need a bond for this. He's got the cash, but he wants to save that in case he needs a cash flow later on in the year. So he's thinking he might need a bond. This isn't committing him to the bond. This is the town board saying, if you need to, we will support you in getting a bond. So go ahead and find out what's involved with this. 311,
Resolution setting public hearing on proposed local law of 2020 to amend Queensberry Town Code by adding a new chapter 115 entitled Short-Term Rentals.
all right, the town board has hammered away at this. We've all had input on this. We've hammered out what we think is ready for public opinion. We want to hear from you. So this is setting a public hearing on our proposed short-term rental laws. It is what I think Councilperson Freer said, kids, keep it simple. I won't say the last thing. Short-term rentals, and a lot of this puts the burden on the owner of the short-term rental. We will only come and tend to the situation if there are problems. So the short-term rentler has to designate a person or an entity that will be able to respond to a situation that has made it unpleasant for their neighbors and has to share that information with their neighbors. Okay? So if the neighbors call that number, supposedly they have about an hour to remedy the situation. There was a situation off of Lake Sunnyside with a group of at least 12 bikers in one house, and they showed me pictures of the yard the next morning. It was not pretty, and they said they could not sleep all night long, and it's things like that that we want to deter, that we want to try and do something about. So we have our public hearing on May 18th for our short-term rental law that we're proposing. 312,
Resolution authorizing engagement of Aqualogic, Inc. for diver-assisted suctioning, harvesting in connection with Lake Sunnyside Aquatic Vegetation Management Program.
all right, Lake Sunnyside also has its own control district. So it's paying for this out of its own tax money. But it's a district, so we have to approve all expenditures. And they want to do some hand harvesting. It's worked out quite well for Lake Sunnyside. Their contract is with Aquatic Vegetation Management, or Diver Assisted Suction Harvesting, or DASH, for a total of $330,200. It's $1,000 per day and a $200 setup fee. And last one, 313.
Resolution ratifying adoption of revised Town of Queensberry COVID-19 pandemic response plan.
All right, our pandemic response plan is now almost 30 pages. It covers what the town, it's like a short history of what the town has done since the beginning of March in addressing the COVID-19 crisis. And this is our COVID-19 pandemic response plan. It's had many updates. One of the most recent updates is a post-pandemic plan. And this is a think out loud kind of thing. It's under construction, and I put that into the plan. It's some of the ways that we're going to have to change as a result of the COVID crisis. For example, we're still going to have controlled access to our buildings. We're still going to emphasize that people try and do business remotely with the town. There will be plexiglass panels on any areas in the town office areas or anywhere in the town where we have to deal with the public and interface with them directly, or the person just wants to deal with us directly. Okay, we're going to still demand that masks be worn for a while until this COVID thing is down. We're going to have the plexiglass panels up. There's a whole lot of things going into the post-pandemic plan, getting ready for that day should it ever come. But it's much more than that. It's what all the departments are doing and everything else. So it's a great little mini history of what the town has done. And so I always declare that, but I like the town board to feel comfortable with it, so I seek their approval. And that's what the last, the resolution is. So we have 13 resolutions, but before I open it up to the public, but get ready, if you got a question on any of those 13 resolutions, 761-8225. Town board, any thoughts or anything you would like to say about any of the proposed resolutions at this point in time? We've got public comment coming.
One thing I thought of, and maybe it's just, we've got 2 weeks to do some planning, but we have 2 public hearings at the next meeting, both of which could generate some fair amount of interest, the mall and the short-term rental. We're gonna have to manage that. And I don't know if maybe we should push one off to a different night.
Peter Pape Productions is here tonight helping us out. Peter, is there any chance of running 2 programs at the same time? For example, we do YouTube because just about everybody can get to YouTube. We could also do Zoom. More and more people are getting familiar with it, but I'm willing to bet that 90% still don't know what Zoom is or how to get on, as much as it's been in the news and everything else. YouTube, everyone does YouTube, just about. Could you run 2 formats at the same time?
Good, we just need a separate setup and a separate.
All right, so it's possible.
What are your thoughts?
I think we'll be fine with these 2.
Yeah.
You know, I was gonna make my comment that I think our short-term rental is what I would call light-handed compared to heavy-handed, which occurred up at Lake Placid. So, you know, the idea that at Lake Placid you have to get a permit now to do a short-term rental. We didn't want to inconvenience the 95% of the people who were properly complying with good logic of short-term rentals.
Right.
But we did want to document that you need to make sure you have fire hydrants or fire protection. You need to have, you know, a certain number of people. You can't over, tax so I think we have a, light-handed or KISS, approach here as a first step. And, I know this came out, from a complaint that we got at Sunnyside, but we've gotten a lot of other feedback, I have at least, from others about, you know, do we even need short-term rentals with this COVID-19 stuff? So I think we're in good shape, and I don't expect it to be, that one to be contentious. And all the inputs I saw, from the mall were all very positive.
Yeah.
You didn't mention, you know, the Adirondack, Chamber of Commerce and a couple others, so.
Oh, yeah.
You know, if we can get him under control with his proselytizing, we'll be okay.
Maybe we could put out that short-term rental early so people can get a look at it.
Well, I'll make sure it's on the website, and
Yeah.
I'll have them put it prominently on the front page.
So based on Harrison's comment, you know, if it gets out there early enough to get an opportunity to look at it, absorb it, understand it, it might not generate as much concern as maybe some people might have.
And if people have input, they can, make it written, right? I mean,
Absolutely,
we're,
yes.
if there's folks out there that have an issue one way or the other with the short-term rental, don't feel like you have to show up or have to figure out Zoom. You can make a plain old email, you know, input, and we'll take those under consideration as well.
And what I'll do is I'll ask Pam Sessions of eVision, who manages our website, to put the short-term rental, which we're gonna have a public hearing on May 18th, and the enclosed shopping center zone, and what we're proposing, put them both on the opening page. So it's gonna be bam, easy for the public to get to and review,
Good.
okay? Good suggestion. So I'll do that. And, so George, addressing your concern, I guess maybe on
No,
that May 18th meeting, we could run parallel things, so you got people.
Well, he's worried about it taking too long, I think.
Not taking too long, but just the amount of people
Yeah.
that might want to be here. But you made good points. We're public now about, you could send in a letter, you could send in an email.
Yeah, and those are good points,
I think we'll
George.
be fine.
Okay.
We got a lot of emails, and yeah, I did forget a couple, you're right, Harrison, on support for the enclosed shopping center. And that's the right way to do it. If you send it to me, right through the website, I always share everything with the town board, probably more than they want.
Do we have to read those in, Carolyn? Do we have to read those public comments in, or?
They can be a part of the record, and you can read them in if you'd like. You know, we've done that in the past as well.
Well, you read comments of them, but they'll be part of the public record on
Yeah,
file.
and the ones I got, I think I sent them to Caroline for a matter of the record.
I received the one this afternoon that you sent,
Yeah, I did
so,
that,
but
and,
if you wanted to provide those, we could put them in the,
There,
okay.
there've been several, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay,
the-
I don't have them.
You don't have them?
Right. So that's why I was just saying, John, make sure that, then we don't have to read them in, we don't have to have people
I'll-
call in. and read
I'll,
them.
I'll resend them. I'll just make sure they're all in,
Okay.
okay.
And we may get some more based on.
Yeah, we may get some more, you're right. Okay, so we'll do that.
Sounds good.
Anything else, guys, on the 13 resolutions before I open up the public, and they have shared their thoughts with us? All right. Any member of the public here or out there in the remote world that wishes to speak to the town board about any of the 13 resolutions before the town board tonight, please call area code 518-761-8225. About 5 seconds. You got your phone, Harrison.
Yeah, I'm calling.
Give me your call, make sure.
518,
761
8225.
8225. Hi, Do you have any comment you'd like to make to the town board about any of the 13 resolutions before us tonight?
1 second delay.
All right, so that works.
I thought you were gonna say Yankee Stadium second base.
Oh, it could have.
He made,
Yeah, well, you know, while we're waiting for the public.
we do have some in here. I don't know if you.
Oh, did you?
No? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. One announcement I would like to make is that we have a report from the county that there are more masks coming. These masks are made by Hanes, and I prefer them. They're very comfortable. We do not know how many are coming. And we're not sure of which distribution system we'll use. You know, we could have gone another 2 hours and the line was all the way, the traffic queuing was all the way down to the Harvest. We could do that, but that was a lot of work and a lot of energy on behalf of the town board. There are some county supervisors that, you know, I think would like to help. And so we could make use of all the above and get some more of these masks out. I think the masks are here to stay. I'm noticing designer masks coming out now. And I'm noticing advertising on the mask coming out now.
Yep.
And I'm noticing a whole new way of life. I know my center console is now cluttered with plastic gloves, masks. I can hardly find a pen when I need one now. And I have found, maybe some of you else have too, that, you know, the rearview mirror works great from hanging a mask
So
on
there you
it.
go. Can't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but
There's my friend in South Clens Falls who owns a business, I won't mention it, but he will make you a mask of your face. So he actually prints your face on the mask, so when you wear it, it looks like you.
oh.
That'll
It is
work great
really,
with facial recognition
cool.
on your
Well,
phone.
and I've seen the mask, the Mickey Mouse mask. It comes with a mask and ears.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, there's gonna be a lot more, but the key is to wear the mask when you can't ensure show physical distance in the public, right?
Right.
So that's the thing that if we don't do that, we're gonna see a bad second wave, you know, so we gotta get people in the habit, and that's why I shoot Dan there a bit ago. Wear your mask if you're not gonna be able to ensure physical distancing, social distancing, and you're in the public,
Yeah.
right? We really gotta get everybody on that page.
Good point. And I think, you know, the purpose of the mask is that some people are sick and they don't know it. You don't have any symptoms, but you can still spread it. And one of the primary ways of spreading it is through
Breathing.
your body fluids exiting into the air and contaminating the people around you. So, you know, and there have been people telling me that, you know, your contamination go as far as 23 feet on a good day, I guess. But 9 feet, I guess, is a reasonable distance that anybody infected and they are blowing their body fluids. A good sneeze will take it, for example, much further than 9 feet. But, you know, and like I told you, my wife made me one. It was an Adirondack-y thing, because I love the Adirondacks, and it had fish lures. And the unfortunate thing, it had a fish lure right in front of my mouth. I felt kind of dumb wearing it. So I much prefer these Hanes. I like these, and there'll be more available to the public, like I say. All right, so any member of the public wish to speak to the town board, 761-8225, about any of the 13 resolutions before us this evening. Phone works, Harrison tried it.
Yeah.
10 people? Well, you know, another thing is that, you know, not only are we making the effort that we can, We're using YouTube because we think the audience that is able to watch this meeting live and want to can. But also, a lot of people know we have Joel Barlow and Jesse and Look TV, and we get aired 3 times a week. Tuesdays at 8 p.m., Wednesdays at 2:30, and Sundays at 10 in the morning. And we go 2 weeks, so that's 6 times it's aired on Look TV. No other municipality, well, Saratoga Springs, the city of Saratoga does theirs, but we're the only 2 that I know of that has their meetings aired on TV like we do. Open, transparent, that's what we want, that's what you want. All right, so I'm giving everyone time to call us about the 13 resolutions, and we have not gotten any phone calls, so I'm gonna move on. All right, so are there any of the resolutions that for whatever reason you would like to have pulled for a roll call?
No.
All right. Then is there a town board member who would like to make a motion that we approve resolutions 3.1 through 313?
I'll approve.
Moved by Councilman Perone, seconded by Councilperson Freer. Roll call vote, please, on the 13 resolutions. Caroline?
Councilperson Stroud,
Yes?
Medivir.
Yes.
Freer,
Yes.
and Perone.
Yes.
Okay. Any correspondence?
I do not have any.
Okay. Privilege of the floor. This is an opportunity for anyone here or remotely that wishes to talk to the town board about a town issue. If you want to talk to us about a town issue, 518-761-8225, right here. There's a microphone, 2 microphones, and we'll give you a little time to get there. All right. While we're waiting, I can get some of my town board stuff out of the way. All right, so, all kinds of a new culture. People ask me why I'm growing something around my lips. I say that's part of the COVID cave culture. It's just a new thing. George Perone started it.
And stopped it.
Well, we have a member of the audience who's on board. Also, we have to learn new acronyms. Like PPP, Paycheck Protection Program, PPE, Personal Protection Equipment, CDC, Centers for Disease Control, and S3E5, Season 3, Episode 5.
Ozark.
I'll tell you what, I never knew those things existed.
It's bad. I just can't believe it.
I
That's
know.
what comes down when you start binge watching, you gotta keep track of seasons
So,
and episodes.
My wife says to me, when are you gonna be home? And I said, probably around 9. She goes, I'm not gonna wait. I'm like,
No.
you can't do that to me.
My wife said I have to be home by 8:30. We left off on a really nail-biting section of Longmire. Have you ever seen of those? Anybody? No one's ever seen it. I think it's a great
It's
series.
insane. I don't know what we've become.
And matter of fact, we are on Season 3, Episode 5. That's a good one. So I'm supposed to go home, we're gonna watch that.
About
But we
10
did,
minutes.
we saw Ozark, and Tony recommended a series to me. It was the crazy Florida guy
The
there.
Tiger King.
Tiger King. Huh?
Did you
I
watch
can't
that?
believe there's people like that.
Well, with Ozark, what I find most disturbing is not the show itself, but that somebody actually came up with that. That
Yeah.
somebody's mind
Yeah.
can.
Well, that was a
work.
Canadian thing.
Yeah.
And the last episode where no, I won't do it.
I ruined your
I won't
fun.
do it. All right, so we're waiting for you to share your thoughts with us about any town board matter. All right, 761-8225. All right, while I'm waiting, our transfer stations, starting tomorrow, Cinco de Mayo, The transfer stations are going to go back to the regular times. All right, so for the Ridge Road, Tuesday and Thursday, it's 7:45 to 3:30. On Saturdays, just at the Ridge Road transfer station, they close at 3, 7:45 to 3. So on Saturday, they close a half an hour early. Luzerne Road does. Their schedule for Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday is 7:45 to 3:30. So we're going to go back to the full schedule. We went back to a part schedule, thinking that we would not have some of our part-time show up, that there was a guy who, for various reasons, was not good for him to be exposed. We asked him to stay home. We cut our hours down. What that did was that increased the queuing of the cars, it increased the density at the site, because now everybody's trying to get everything in the morning, and it kind of defeated the purpose. So we're going back to full-time on our transfer stations. All right, anybody want to talk to the town board about any town board matter? 761-8225. I'll have all my announcements done.
Yep, I think we're good.
All right, one other announcement, and then I'll close the public hearing. Or close the privilege of the floor. It's with the deepest of regret. The city of Glens Falls and the town of Queensberry had to cancel our 2020 Memorial Day Parade and Remembrance Ceremony. This was not easy. We were all hoping that at the end of May, things will open up, and would it be great to have the parade, which is well attended by the public. It's very dense. People are packed up 10 people back. All of Glen Street is packed. It's a wonderful event, and the remembrance ceremony following it is very somber, very meaningful. The theme this year, and I've organized this for the last 20 years with the city of Glens Falls. We have a committee. Our flag waves for those who never wavered was the theme this year. But I consulted with the committee, and that is Joan Aldis, Tim Benner, Amy Collins, Carl Fosco, and myself. I consulted with Mayor Dan Hall. The veterans all thought that we should cancel the event. It hurt, but all those involved that this event would present a meaningful way to mark the end of our community isolation and pay our deepest respect for those who gave their lives to defend our nation and freedom. A lot of people don't understand. This isn't Veterans Day. This is Memorial Day. This is to memorialize those who gave their life defending our nation, defending our freedoms. And that's why it's such an important event. I hope that we can still do something, but if it's COVID compliant, it's going to be difficult to do and not attract a crowd. So for 20 years, our two communities have worked together to have this honor of presenting a parade and service that pays homage to those who most deserve it. And we're just worried about the parade could pose unsafe exposure, and especially to the veterans. Many of the veterans are in that group that can't risk exposure to COVID. So with deep regret, we had to cancel the parade. Never had to do that. We had one rain out, now a cancellation. All right, so if the public was going to talk to us, I think they would have called it by now. All right, we didn't get any phone calls from the public. So I'll close the privilege of the floor and move to town board discussions. Tony, did I start with you last time anyways?
I don't know.
Or you
but,
just convened again?
And I'm trying to figure out, we did the mask thing 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah,
So I do have to give a shout out to all of this group here, including you, young lady.
Lady.
So I ended up showing up at the town landfill at about 9 o'clock. Didn't know what to expect. They told me it gets busy between 10 and 11, but I got there early and to hand out masks. And John, you were over there as well. And I couldn't believe what I saw. So first of all, I'm so glad that they're going back to regular hours, because those poor guys and girls that worked at the landfill were so overworked. When we closed the landfill at 11:30, I could not believe the amount of people that came through. Most were very appreciative that we were handing out masks. Maybe 2% said they were all set, they don't need them, save them for somebody else. And then maybe 2% said, you know, you can't make me wear this thing, I don't want it, which is fine, that's their prerogative, whatever. But, so I leave the landfill, I go home real quick, grab a bite to eat, and I said to my wife I was gonna try to get over to town to help out. And, as you know, it was a beautiful day, so I took the motorcycle. And when I got here, I couldn't believe what I saw. I was down at Lowe's and was on the phone with Mary Lee, of all people, who we were talking about something, and I said, what is going on Bay Road? And she said it must be an accident because the police are out there. And the traffic was backed up to the Harvest, as you said, so I actually went home via Cronin to Meadowbrook. I never realized for a second it was actually people waiting to get masks at the time. So when I got there, I think I arrived, what, 2 o'clock or something like that? And I was in a state of disbelief because you guys were all there handing out masks, and the line of people was just, I just couldn't believe. I think my mouth just dropped to the ground with the cops and everything, and I just, my hat's off to all you guys. I left there, I went home, it was kind of I was just sad because, you know, you guys are all working so hard on Saturday, and I'm just thinking, what the hell are we doing, you know? But the thought that so many people were so thankful. And I got home and I said, you know what, this is a great group of people that I work with. All of you are a great group, and I'm just proud to be a part of this. I really am. And so I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart, just the fact that, you know, you guys did what you did, and we have a great town, and people were so appreciative. I can't say enough about all of you.
You know, and you know what I like about the system that we worked out? We all said,
It
well,
was
what should we
perfect.
do? And this is a collective idea. What, you know, some people thank me, but you know, we all said, this is a good thing to do. And it was, it turned out to be a
It was
great
perfect.
thing. It got the masks to the people that wanted them.
Yep,
And if we had another 9,000 masks, it would have gone out to the people who wanted,
there's no doubt,
with no waste.
no doubt.
And people are still calling you, they're
All the
calling
time.
me, they're emailing the town hall. We desperately need masks. So we did have half a box left. We have practically none left down, but there's more coming. So, you know, we'll still offer the pickup for people that want to come to the town, you know, give my office a call. We'll allocate them. We have a security officer. We'll put them out in the steps at the time you think you're coming, so it will be, you know, the safest way of getting these gloves to you. Well, now, we all wore masks and gloves at the event, and we gave out with Harrison and Tony starting at the transfer stations in the morning. But again, you guys only went through 1 or 2 boxes, right?
I went through 2 boxes.
There's
You
1,000.
had a box, right?
There's 500.
So I literally, at 11:30, I had 3 packages left that I ended up delivering to somebody over here and somebody in Courthouse Estates. So when I left you guys, I had handed out the last 15 masks to people that didn't get them here, but I promised them I would bring them over to them.
Okay,
So, I was
So-
out. That's 1,000 masks.
And then George shows up at 11:30. I said, George, it's not supposed to start till 1. We're supposed to give them out 1 to 4.
I said,
He says,
I'm
but the-
just gonna go set up the table.
The cars are lining up
It
already.
was
At,
insane.
at 11:45, the first 2 cars came in, and they're looking over. And I went like this, and they said, well, we wanted to get here and get online for 1 o'clock. I said, well, no sense of you waiting. I handed them out, and then they started to trickle in little by little. So we had a line well before 1
It was-
o'clock.
I was on the phone with Mary Lee.
Yeah.
She's right here. I said, Mary Lee, what is going on? She goes, it must be an accident. I see police cars. I'm like, oh, that's terrible. Thinking, what a mess that's gonna be.
So I want to thank Brian LaFleur and Amy Hirsch and Ryan Moore, the administrator, for organizing this, getting them over to the town of Queensberry, and allowing us. I felt good about what we did.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
It was, I had said to Judge Smith, it was probably one of the most satisfying days of my life.
Yeah.
It truly, when people, especially here, the transfer station was a little different because some people, you know, were very standoffish, but people here were so appreciative.
And they turned out to be my favorite masks.
Yeah.
I like them. They're comfortable to wear and they're easy to put on, easy to take off. They dangle from the ear really easy. And until the Buffalo Bills one comes out, I think this is the best.
And Caroline, you were there quite early with me, and I just want to say off the top of my head, probably 60 to 70% of the people that showed up were seniors and those type of people who, you know, are susceptible to this and were looking for those masks, you know, to make sure that
And a lot
they
of,
had themselves protected.
and a lot of people came up and they said, my mother's home, my father's home.
Yes.
And I'd like some for them.
Yeah.
And how many God bless yous did we get?
Oh, my gosh.
Huh?
I couldn't believe
They
that.
were so kind and so
They were
appreciative.
so kind.
Hundreds of God
The,
bless yous.
the woman that I delivered some to after it was over couldn't have said that enough.
And a lot of people said, is there a donation I can
Yeah,
make?
I know, that too.
So how many cars do you think we serviced in that hour, 2 hours?
Well, there's 5 in a pack, and we had 8,000 to give out.
So,
400, what, Matt? 400?
Easy,
Well-
because we did 580 cars at Salvation Army. They were counting food thing on Monday,
That's
and
right, I forgot
I think
about
there
that.
was more people here than
we
that.
probably did 3,000 or 4,000 cars.
Yeah.
So
There's a
how,
lot.
No,
No.
because you're giving 5 each,
Yeah,
right?
you give them 5 each.
Yeah.
Yeah, so probably, pushing 1,000.
Yeah, I would say.
okay,
Yeah.
that's pretty efficient.
Yeah.
We were very efficient.
Very good.
And again, they were getting to the people who need them and want them. They weren't being wasted by somebody just dumping them off someplace and just leaving them there, hoping that,
No, I think,
you know,
and I told people, if you don't need them, share them.
yeah.
My last thing, I found out on my way here that they canceled Dave Matthews this summer. It's bad. I am
Uh-oh.
absolutely devastated. This stuff just got real.
So is Loggins and Messina still on though?
What's that?
Loggins and Messina
Oh,
still?
I hope not.
Oh, I hope so. That's the end of August.
So we have no Americade for now,
Well, the end of July.
end of July. No Dave Matthews.
Saratoga Racetrack.
Saratoga
Ooh,
Racetrack.
that's gonna be a touchy one.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Ooh.
They canceled Laconia. I don't know. I'm gonna have to find a hobby. We are starting a garden, so that's good.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I'm bummed out. Very sad day.
I don't know, do we have a contest this year for yard of 2020? It's gonna
Garden?
be-
Yard or
Yeah,
garden?
the
There's a lot
nicest
of good
looking
new ones.
yard.
There, let me tell you something, while we're on the topic, kudos to everybody out there. Your yards look amazing. I've never seen anything like it. People are out, and things are cleaned up, and, yeah, so, good.
Anything else, Tony?
Nope.
All right, thank you. Harrison?
We talked about a lot of things that, I just want to make one pitch for, the Chapman Museum is having, they were trying to have a Link Cathers collection of World War II home front posters. For those who don't know Link Cathers, he was a remarkable guy, and he really was, he gave us all in that, for before we even knew that asbestos was bad for you, he was working on building and designing submarines and special Navy things. And so he came down with mesothelioma, which they now know was related to asbestos. And he was over at Dana-Farber knowing that he was not going to be recipient of any of the research, but trying to lay the groundwork so that they could work on better treatment for this very nasty disease. Anyway, Link Cathers, I consider him a friend, a great guy. He collected these war posters from World War II, and they were going to have a display. Hopefully they'll figure out a way to do that with COVID-19 enhanced security. But it just, when you started talking about the Memorial Day Parade, I couldn't help but think of Link Cathers, because he really served his country and us as a nation in an incredibly important way.
He was a genuinely good guy.
So that's it, I'll shut up, so we can get home.
No, that's, okay, Harrison, yell. I'm gonna get yelled at for Longmire. George?
I'll make it fast, and I think there isn't much you don't do today where you don't go in the newspaper or online or on a TV, and everybody's just saying thank you, but I'll just say it again to thank all the people that are out there that are working in our community. Hospital medical workers, first responders, EMS, fire, police, the folks in the grocery stores, the restaurants that are still open, the janitorial workers to make sure everything gets cleaned up. So I just want to make sure, once again, you know, I don't think you can thank people enough. It's something I learned a long time ago when I was in serving organizations that did a lot of philanthropy in that. So they said you can't thank people enough. So thanking everybody again for all their service.
Yeah. And I'm getting kind of used to this, you know, ordering it ahead of time and picking it up, you know, the Dock Cider, Mike's Sub, O'Toole's, you know, Olive Garden, almost all of them.
Yeah.
Amazing. Different world, quickly, changed in 1 month. Still shake my head in disbelief. Anything else, George?
That was it.
All right. So I did some of mine. All right, doing your census. You haven't done it yet? It's very easy. Go to, say, US Census, type it in Google, go there, and take you 10 minutes to fill it out. Queensberry, 57% of Queensberry has done it. We're like way ahead. You know, Bolton is up to 13% now. I'll have to talk to Ron about that. Anyhow, we're doing well. Keep up the good work, please, people. Also, we're still doing pickups. You have to put your clippings in a biodegradable bag, and your tree limbs can't exceed 4 inches in diameter or 8 foot in length. Cut it up. And anything that greater than 4 inches, you're gonna have to take care of on your own. Do not place materials in the road, but place them roadside. And, all right, so we're still going around picking things up. And I did all the rest of mine, here and there. So I'm all done. Anything else for the good of the order, guys?
Just
All
a
right.
quick.
Yes. Tony?
I watched the guys sweeping in our neighborhood, and they struggled terribly. So I said to Dave Duell, when we get back on our feet, we can afford one, we really need a street sweeper, because the ones that we have just are not working.
Yeah.
Well, they're working in tandem. There were
Yes.
two that
Yes.
went one behind the
Yeah,
other.
we've got 4 of them.
These poor guys are struggling. And Dave explained to me that the road was in such bad shape that had a lot to do with it, but, you know,
Yeah, well,
When we
thanks for
can.
the kudos for the
when we can.
highway department. They are very frustrated and
Yep.
trying to do their job. But I'm getting a lot of people commenting how good of a job
They're
they're
doing a
doing.
phenomenal job. And I'll
give-
tell you what, I was amazed, and I don't know if the guys know who I was, but they struggled, but did not leave that neighborhood until it was absolutely perfect. I couldn't believe how good of a job they did. But they were in our little, cul-de-sac
Right.
for probably a good hour and a half,
Wow.
back and forth and back and forth. And I'm like, these poor guys must just be out of their mind kudos to them. And I said that today,
Yeah.
phenomenal job, but they really were struggling with the equipment.
I'm glad you brought it up. Anything else for the good of the order, guys? All right. Well, I'd like to thank Town Clerk Caroline, not only for distributing our masks, but being here tonight. Thank you, Town Council Mark Shackner.
You're very welcome, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Town Board. Thank you, member of the audience. And thank you, Joe Barlow and Peter Pape, for helping us to get this out to the public. We appreciate that. All right, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, moved by Councilman Ferone, seconded by Councilperson Meadowbeer. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye.